Ofgem has just announced 28 billion in new investments in the UK's power delivery networks. Sounds great, doesn't it? But hang on. A big proportion of this is going to be added straight onto your energy bills. These networks are already making huge profits, so why are we, the consumers, being asked to pay again? Now, if you remember, just a few weeks ago, we had the budget. And to be honest, there wasn't a great deal in that budget to be excited about. But there was one snippet when Rachel Reeves stood up and said that the government planned to take £150 off your energy bills by April. Sounds like a great thing, because remember, they promised to take £300 off our energy bills. So getting halfway there, thumbs up. But they're not really reducing our bills. What they're doing is moving the costs that are currently on your energy bill into general taxation. So you're still going to pay for it. You just won't notice that you're paying for it. Now, just 1 week after that budget, Ofgem made a huge announcement. Why this couldn't have been included in the budget, I don't know, but maybe because it's not such great news. Now, the headline is that they're investing 28 billion into the UK's energy networks, and that is going to rise to 90 billion by 2031. 17.8 billion pounds of that initial investment is going into the gas network and 10.3 billion into the electricity transmission network. And these are going to provide security updates to the network, but also expansion in capacity. But hang on a minute, let's go back to that 17.8 billion for the gas network. Why are we spending more of this money on the gas network when government policy is to get us to move away from gas? Now, these investments, as they're calling them, are expected to add £108 per household to your energy bills by 2031. So the government gives you £150 with one hand and it takes away £108 with another. Now, what they're saying is you don't need to worry because we're going to invest this money, and once it's all done and all the projects are completed, it will offer a saving which will only mean an extra £30 on your bill. But the investment is going to happen now. That means the £108 is going to go on your bill immediately. And then if it pans out in the future and we've got all our numbers straight, that number may come down. So it may only mean an extra £30 per household. So why is this being added to our bills again? Well, Ofgem regulates the energy networks as monopolies funded through bills. This means that all of the DNOs are basically guaranteed a return on investment. But the DNO's argument is if they have to go to the markets and get investment from banks and other places, that it will just put too much cost onto their investment plans. So therefore, it's much easier just to put it on our standing charges. But at the same time, these same DNOs are making massive amounts of profit. And large portions of that profit is being handed over to shareholders as dividends, which is then that money is then disappearing out of the country. Now, if this isn't a case to just shut down the DNOs, nationalise the whole thing, just as it used to be when it was all called National Grid, and any profits that are made get ploughed back into that network, I can't think of a better case for nationalisation, but the government just doesn't seem to want to do that. Now, let's just put things into perspective. They keep adding all of these charges onto our bills through the standing charge. But let's take a look at a few of the DNOs in the UK. So UK Power Networks, my DNO here in the east of England, in its last reported numbers, made £852.9 million of profit. Energy Northwest made somewhere between 120 and 126 million pounds of profit. National Grid, both the distribution and the transmission arm, made 2.6 billion in profit. And SSE made a further 620 million of operating profit. So it's not like these companies can't afford to invest in their own networks. But hey, why spend our profits when we can just take more money from the people who use our services? Now, all of these companies are paying out dividends, and sometimes the dividends are a little hard to track. But one that comes to mind is London Power Networks, who UK Power Networks is a subsidiary. Remember, it's companies on companies on companies, pretty much companies all the way down. They paid out a dividend of £87 million last year to their shareholders. Others also pay dividends, but it's a little more difficult to track them down because, again, lots of companies, lots of subsidiaries. It's difficult to see where that money goes. Now, most of this money, when you look at who is investing in these companies, these are external pension funds. The Canadian Pension Fund is a great thing. So Canadian civil servants' pensions are being funded out of your payments to power companies here in the UK. There are also investments from the Middle East through sovereign wealth funds and lots of other ways that all of this profit is being eked out of the country, and we're seeing no benefits from it. But let's focus back on the Ofgem announcement because there are some big contradictions in this, and certainly a contradiction of established government policy. Most of the money that's been invested, a large proportion of it, is going to the gas network to increase capacity, and they say to increase the security of our gas network. Now, first of all, I would ask, if you're running our gas network, why isn't it secure today? Why do you need money to secure it? Bills are going to rise gradually. You probably won't see that whole £108 lumped on your bill in April, but these companies want to invest in the network. They want to increase capacity. They need the money. So that money is going to be available to them up front. They're not going to wait till 2031 when they can see the impact of these changes to see how much they put your bill up by. Ofgem claims long-term savings from reduced imports and constraints. So if we do all of this work, we don't have to import as much energy from abroad. Now that sounds like a good thing, but shouldn't the money be coming out of the profits from these DNOs first before we keep going back and sticking their little fingers into our wallets? If nothing changes, we're going to continue to fund all of the investments in these companies through our energy bills from now till pretty much the end of time. Now, don't get me wrong, grid upgrades are necessary. If the plan is to electrify our grid, to move people away from gas, then you would think that most of the investment would be going into the electricity network rather than the gas network. I wonder which part of the energy industry has the more lobbyists, the people who are whispering in ministers' ears to make sure that they get their share. This, I think, is yet another example of why Ofgem is not fit for purpose. The organisation, its entire management team, we need to do away with them completely. They're of no benefit to consumers. They're always on the side of the energy companies, they're always on the side of business, and they're doing nothing to constrain these people from just sticking their fingers into our wallets and taking our money. Now, I know this, every time we do a video about Ofgem, I always say to people, please write to your MP, write to the energy minister, write to Ofgem. And I suppose we should do the same thing again, but I'm not seeing this having any effect whatsoever. I get no responses from my MP. I get no responses from the Department of Energy. I'm sure I'm just wasting my time. But my plan now is I am going to go find when my local MP is running a surgery, and I am going to go and sit across the table from him and tell him this is not acceptable. Anyway, hopefully next time I do a video about what Ofgem is doing, I might have some better news. But right now, if you find this kind of content interesting, a like and subscribe would be really appreciated. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think we should do? Is Ofgem fit for purpose? Should we nationalise the whole thing? Should we push private companies out of our energy sector? Let me know what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear about them. Anyway, that's it for today's video. I hope you found this interesting. If you have, and I'm lucky, I'll see you back here real soon for another video. Take care. Bye-bye.